Chapter 20, God's Malice is Everywhere. Yuan Zhan was gone for a long time. When he came back, he brought back Yuan Diao and Yuan Shan, as well as the Red Dates male and his brother. The 5 people did not specifically avoid Yan Mo. Yan Mo was left on the bed and Yuan Zhan only pulled the animal skin to cover his lower body. Yuan Zhan came in and looked at the animal skin. If there was no big problem, he would no longer pay attention after him. A few young people of right age minds are, you hit me, I hit you, and I said a few words, and I picked up the leather skirts. Yan Mo blinked. As a doctor, he could see at a glance that these people did not need him to do circumcision, and they might regrow the skin. You really decided to go out and find salt in the winter season? Asked the oldest of the 5. Yuan Diao did not laugh. He looked at Yuan Zhan together. Yuan Zhan sat on the ground, grabbed the grass and played with it, heard the Yuan Lai ask him, and took out the grass root from his mouth. Yes. Too dangerous, how can the chief agree? Yuan Lai frowned. Yuan Zhan's face had no annoyance and uncomfortable expressions. He replied with an unchanged tone, not only me, the chief said that he would choose 6 more warriors to go out with me. Yuan Lai shook his head in disapproval. Many people will not want to go. If you can't get back in time, there will be big snow covering the pathways, you will only be trapped and frozen to death. Is the chief forcing you think about this? He can't let the old guy. Da Diao. Da Lai scolded Yuan Diao, Chu Shida Ren is tribal priest, when you speak of him speak with respect. Yuan Diao bowed his head in disapproval. Yes. Da Lai held his right arm and patted him. But this is really wrong. I will go talk to the chief and see if I can postpone the time until next spring, when I will go with De Zhan. I am coming too. De Shan didn't speak, but it was obviously that. Yuan Diao also directly indicates that no one can be missed out. Yuan Zhan shook his head. The chief wanted to let me try next spring, but things have changed. Yan Mo thought, what changed? The other 4 people obviously have the same question. Yuan Zhan unveiled the mystery. Before I went to the chief to talk about salt, just happened to meet the Dayu who had just returned from the Ji people. Dayu told us that this time he went to Salt Mountain to find the Ji people to barter for the salt. It should have gone smoothly, but not only was the traded salt way less than the expected, but the Ji people also released terms, saying that the salt bartering trade will be minimized. What? All of us are counting on this last transaction to be able to switch to the coarse salt used throughout the winter. What do the Ji people mean to say when they reduce the exchange? The Red Date male was surprised and angry. Yuan Zhan said coldly, it is not surprising that the Ji people have just occupied Salt Mountain. I am afraid that now they are trying to get out the salt from the salt cave. The ability of how to extract, the coarse salt from the stone is only known by the Salt Mountain people. Even if the Ji people know the method of getting salt from the Salt Mountain population, it is not easy to get a lot of salt in a short time. That is to say, the Ji people salt is still in the Salt Mountain people grip? No wonder they have less weight to exchange. The Red Dates male figured out, then was worried. What about this winter? If there is no salt on the meat, we can go on eating the meat and no strength. Not only this winter, Yuan Zhan said, the Ji people will be controlling the Salt Mountain, which is equivalent to them holding knives on our throats. They will definitely increase the exchange price on salt for some tribes. For tribes with strong fighting power, such as us, they will probably increase exchange price for the salt and then saddle us with conditions, requirements that we should be committed to help them resist the enemy. After he said that, Yuan Diao screamed. Ha! Ji people have a lot of enemies, they occupied the Salt Mountain, the number of their enemies will only increase. Yes, either we go attack the Ji people wins over the Salt Mountain or to find a new salt producing end. And no doubt, the latter minimizes the tribe loss. After Yuan Zhan explained, everyone did not speak. Although the old priest made Yuan Zhan go out to find new salt field in the winter, his behavior is quite cruel, but in the current situation, the tribes are not likely to wait until the spring of the next year. For the entanglement of the surrounding partners, Yuan Zhan was very calmly. I have already indicated to the chief that I am willing to start immediately to go and find a new salt field. Yuan Diao disapproved of this. Dalai nodded after thinking for a while. All right, instead of being forced to go, it is better for us to propose. Dalai, you don't need. Dalai raised his hand. You are just a second-tier warrior, have been there. There are no third-tier warriors available. The chief will definitely send at least one third-tier warrior to walk with you. From the experience point of view, I am the best candidate except for De Ying. Rest assured, I am only injured on my left hand and will soon be good to go. I will not cause you trouble on the road. Yuan Zhan naturally does not regard Dalai as a trouble, but if he has Dalai, their safety can be improved by at least 30%. I thought about it carefully, although there is a danger of freezing to death in winter, it's also good. What good? The red date male scratched his head. His older brother Dalai hit his head. Idiot. We went out hunting to find food, what is the most fearful about? Snakes. Yuan Zhan nodded. Yes. Not only snakes, but many beasts who like to hibernate in winter. If you are full before, you won't be hunting in the winter. And when it's not snowing, it's not the coldest. If we come back before snowing, or if there is a place to rest and fight back the cold winter, we don't have to worry about freezing. The biggest problem is instead how to find. Dalai added, if we were starting in the spring, although we don't have to worry about freezing and starvation, but we will also encounter the resurgence of snakes and the hungry beasts who are hungry from a cold winter hibernation. Yuan Shan voiced his concerns. Winter is still not safe, wolves do not sleep in the winter, people from other tribes who come out hunting can see to it that we will not be let go unscathed, and even then when we can't catch enough food, and what do we eat on the road? At least spring there is not much worry about eating. Yuan Diao also said, there are only 7 people in total. What if we encounter a giant beast with an iron-back dragon on the road? And how far do we have to go before we have to turn back? If we can't find the place, we have to keep looking. If we can't find the salt, we will have to come back. That old. Do you think Xu Shidaren let us go? Yuan Zhan has already assessed the pros and cons of this trip countless times when he asked for the task to the chief. He had already ironed his heart into going out to find a new salt, but he does not therefore want to confuse his brother to die along with him, therefore he can only be honest and authentic, so we must find a good man to go with, because we may never come back. From most years' experience, Dalai prevented everyone from making a statement on the spot, so that everyone can go back and think about it and make a decision. De Shan and De Diao left. Dalai was going to wait for the red date male to touch Yan Mo's ankles so they can go away. This is what he said to Yuan Zhan, I have been to many places, but I don't know where there is salt. You know which one to go to? Looking for directions? We can't go looking for all direction and go on. Yuan Zhan was hesitant, and he didn't want to reveal the details about his little slave at this time. But before he could think about it, the little slave who likes to make a proposition has already spoken. South, we are going south. Dalai looked behind Yuan Zhan, he saw the boy who was sitting up. For this young slave, Dalai's impression of him was not deep, even if he cried and pleaded to the chief tent last night. There are more slaves crying, and he can't remember everyone who cries. But in the morning, he learned from Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao that the method of fixing the broken bone with the wooden branches was really taught by this boy. They did say last night that they just wanted to protect the boy from scrutiny because the boy saved T.A.G who was already waiting to die. What is your name? Hunted and asked. Yan Mo. Yan. Dalai turned to look at Yuan Zhan. 1. Yan means salt, it's like the first name denoted the tribe from which the person is from, like Yuan Shan, Yuan Zhan, Yuan Diao, they're not related, they just come from the same tribe. And their tribal name is Yuan, Yan Mo is from Yunshan tribe. Yunshan literally means salt mountain, hence when Yuan Lai heard Yan Mo he immediately suspected that the boy is from Salt Mountain tribe or Yunshan tribe. Yuan Zhan nodded. He is from Salt Mountain and he is also a disciple of the Salt Mountain priest. Dalai was not happy and he frowned. You made a priest disciple your own slave? You are not afraid of being poisoned? He won't hurt me. Yuan Zhan had to say this in order to save the little slave's life. Yan Mo nodded fiercely and looked at Dalai with a look of I am a good person. Dalai looked at the boy, thinking of this boy if he really wanted to harm people, he will not let people know his identity as Salt Mountain disciple, and will not take the initiative to save T.A.G, and now he will start to observe the boy with vigilance. Once again, the boy also passed on the secretive means of saving people from bleeding to the other soldiers. Apparently he is a soft-hearted good boy. If it was not for this child, his left hand would likely grow back deformed. With this in mind, the remaining vigilance went to trust. Dalai hand slowly relaxed, and Yan Mo exhaled. He felt that Yuan Zhan did not need to tell him the identity of his disciples now, as long as he was a Salt Mountain person, he could find salt. You see, what causes others to be vigilant. However, Yuan Zhan's idea is obviously different from Yan Mo. He believes that Dalai's skills and his combat skills are also learnt by his own. For him, Dalai is like his big brother or even his father. Moreover, if Dalai can recognize Yan Mo and understand his importance, when there is no food on the road, it guarantees that Yan Mo will not be used as a reserve food. To this end, in the morning, he asked Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao to go to Dalai and show him the method of fixing the broken bone with the wooden branch that was taught by Yan Mo, and they were asked to take Dalai to visit T.A.G. Yuan Zhan did these things in order to assure Dalai that Yan Mo is different from ordinary slaves. He can not only find salt, but he will also be useful in other aspects. Yuan Lai is indeed responded as expected by Yuan Zhan. His impression on the boy was completely changed. It is only that he has not completely put aside his vigilance against Yan Mo. He thinks that if the boy shows any disadvantages, he will not hesitate to twist the boy's neck. For Dalai, even if a disciple of a other family can find a new salt field, his life is completely inferior to that of his brothers. Last night, you said you want to stab the seal of the slave today. Dalai asked. Fuck. Yan Mo almost forgot about it, he didn't want to leave a mark on his body as a slave. And if his healing ability is really strong, how can he explain if the imprint disappears one day? Yuan Zhan looked at Yan Mo and revealed a wicked smile with a bad intention. First give him a cut mark, so that Chu Shida-ren have an excuse to continue fuming. After he took us to find a new salt, I will give him a fire mark. Is it hot? Must be by a fire stick? Yan Mo finally managed to put the 8 times torture in the past. Do you want to give me another one? I don't think so. Whoever dares to touch me, I will kill him. No matter how Yan Mo used his eyes to shoot his hairy owner, Yuan Zhan came over and brought him up, hugged him in his arms, and looked at him as if he knew what Yan Mo was thinking. Go, look at you. If you showed even a little strength, I would have stabbed you early, and you will come back soon to join us on the road. Dajan, can you not stab me with a mark? You said that I was seriously injured, and now I have a high fever, I am burning up, I can't accept tattoos at all. I knew that bastard was sick. Fever. Yuan Zhan guessed what he meant. I won't take you there. Chu Shida-ren will definitely let his disciple Chu Ning come over. If you let Chu Ning give you a stab, you might be like some slaves before they were stabbed to death. Don't argue that bullshit, you just want to give me the mark that said I belongs to you. Do you think I can't see you're thinking, you bastard? Yan Mo was mad at himself. Stupid master, it was not smashed by bone spurs. It is because the infection is burning. If I have a fever, how do you expect me to treat your legs? Are you threatening me? Yuan Zhan pinched his ass. Yan Mo bit his teeth. How dare I? You really want to give me a seal of slavery? You promised me. I didn't promise you anything, everything will wait until you find a new salt grounds. Yan Mo is really pissed off you dare to give me a seal of slavery, don't expect me to take you to find salt. Yuan Zhan grinned. Do you want to die? Dalai suddenly smiled and said, it seems that you and this boy are quite handful, in this case, if he really does not want to be your slave, then castrate him and make him be your wife. The F***CKA. At this moment, Yan Mo felt the sinfulness of God's sensation, compared with Yuan Zhan, who is fierce but also childish, this Dalai with a gentle smile is the most terrible. He also heard that the primitive people are in particularly favor to castrate the male citizens of the enemy tribes, and then cast all the men of the entire enemy tribe as slaves, because they believed that the slaves after the castration would be more obedient, but after castration Dalai wants to make him a wife too? You are not short of women enough to be missing this one. Fortunately, Yuan Zhan refused. He said, he is not for castration. The possibility of death after castration is too great. It is not worthwhile. Yan Mo laughed. I must kill the bastard, I must kill them.